Om Shanti. This is the Sakar Murli of the 5th of October 2022. Essence, sweet children, at this time your lives are like a diamond because you have become the children of God. God Himself is teaching you. You are becoming far-sighted and those with broad intellects. Question: by making which effort are you children becoming far-sighted (Durandeshi) and those with broad intellects? Answer: by having remembrance of the Father, you are becoming far-sighted, and by studying, you become those with broad intellects. To be far-sighted means to remember the Father who lives in the faraway land. The meaning of man above is to be far-sighted. To have a broad intellect means that your intellect has the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world. You first have to be far-sighted, and then those with broad intellects. Song: Our pilgrimage is unique. Om Shanti. You children heard the song of how our pilgrimage is unique. Our pilgrimage place is very far away, and this is why you children are told, may you be far-sighted. The resident of the faraway land then says, may you have broad intellects. Everyone's intellect is degraded at this time. Maya has made your intellects degraded. So the intellects of you children are far-sighted. That is, you have remembrance of the one who resides far away. To have a broad intellect means that your intellect has the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end. All others have narrow intellects, that is, they simply speak of God, they don't know Him. Here there are no great souls. The Father comes and makes you far-sighted, but children are not that far-sighted. Although they have a lot of knowledge, they are not that far-sighted. That is, they stay in remembrance of the Father very little. Sages make spiritual endeavour. Kings, queens, and all the people of the whole world are impure at this time. Although they have given the title Mahatma (great soul), no one is a great soul. Some say that Krishna is a great soul. That at least is right, because that is an elevated world. This is the corrupt world. As are the king and queen, so the people. However, at this time there are no kings. It is the rule of people over people. The Father says, you cannot meet me by studying the scriptures, nor can you go into liberation until you come to know me from me at the end of the cycle when I come. People remember Krishna, but he belongs to this land. He is not far-sighted. Therefore, to remember the Father means to be far-sighted. The meaning of man above is to be far-sighted. If you don't know the Father, how can you receive the inheritance from Him? If He doesn't come, how can you find the path? This is something to be understood. There has to be deep love for the bridegroom. It is said, brackets in a song, having found just you, I have found everything. Therefore you receive all attainment from just the one. There has to be a lot of love for such a bridegroom. This knowledge is unlimited. It is a variety drama in which there are all types of conflict, and this is why they speak of the divided kingdom. Divided, brackets duet, or devils, brackets daitya. It is the same thing. Ravan is said to be the devil. It is only the one Father who makes you into deities. It is said, He changes human beings into deities. It is such a simple thing. You have broad intellects. Those who study the scriptures are not said to have broad intellects. That is devotion. Knowledge is a separate thing from devotion. Only the Father, the ocean of knowledge, gives you knowledge. You were like diamonds and have now become like shells. The Father is now making you become like diamonds once again. When you have broad intellects, you rule the world. There the kingdom is unshakable and stable. So those in knowledge have broad intellects. You know that there was happiness in the Golden Age, and that you then gradually came down the ladder. In order to climb up, you take a jump in a second. It is a leap of becoming pure from impure. It takes 5,000 years to come down. You have all become those with broad intellects, number-wise, according to the efforts you make. You are given this knowledge at this time. This knowledge doesn't exist in the Golden Age. The Father has come at the Confluence Age exactly as he did in the previous cycle. You would not be said to have broad intellects in the Golden Age. You would not say that your life is like a diamond in the Golden Age. It is at this time that you have lives like a diamond, because you are the children of God. God is teaching you. This is the Father's praise. Since the Supreme Soul is the purifier, how could he be omnipresent? However, human beings have narrow intellects. No matter how much you explain to them, they don't understand. Therefore, you have to understand that they don't belong to the Brahmin clan. Those who belong to the deity clan will understand knowledge and become Brahmins. The Father is the ocean of knowledge. You too become oceans of knowledge, and you then become oceans of peace and happiness. There is limitless happiness in the Golden Age. So you receive the attainment of all types of happiness from the Father. At the end, you will become oceans of knowledge, happiness and peace, because you also give this to others. Look how much sorrow and peacelessness there is at this time. Important people are unable to sleep. You should now remain happy because you now know the Father. The world says, O God the Father, Supreme Father, Supreme Soul, but they don't know Him. Devotees have been doing devotion for such a long time. They have been continually remembering him, but they don't know anything. The Father himself comes and gives you the introduction of himself and his creation. You then have to give that to others. You know that he is the Father. He is not a Mahatma. Baba thought about making you write on the form, "Whom have you come to meet?" They would say, "We have come to meet the Mahatma." Tell them, he is not a Mahatma. There is the name Brahma Kumaris and Kumaris, and so their father would be Prajapita Brahma, would he not? So how can he be a Mahatma? Those who argue with others in this way have to be very good. They need to have that wisdom. Some even write something, but they don't understand anything. They are complete Budus. You can tell from their faces that they don't have any knowledge. Shiv Baba knows everything. He is Antaryami, brackets, the one who knows everything within you. This Baba, brackets Brahma, is Baharyani, brackets one who knows everything externally. The Father says, I enter this body of the one who was number one. He is now in the last birth. I enter him because he has to become that same Narayan again. So, because he lends me his body, he receives rent, and this is why they say, the most fortunate chariot, Bhagirath, brackets lucky chariot, did not bring the Ganges of water. These are deep aspects of knowledge which people don't understand because they follow the dictates of Ravan. You have now understood. Therefore, create ways of explaining to others. You should think about how to make others far-sighted and how to give them the Father's introduction. They remember the Brahm element. Brahm is the element where God resides, but those people consider the Brahm element to be God. Hinduism is not a religion. Because those people live in Hindustan, they have given the name Hindu to their religion. In fact, Hindustan is their place of residence. Similarly, the element of Brahm is the place where God resides. However, because people have narrow intellects, they don't understand anything. Here it is a matter of knowledge. Everyone knows the things of the world very well. This one was a jeweler, and he knew all about that, but in terms of knowledge, he had a narrow and degraded intellect. He didn't know anything. So Baba has to come and give recognition. Until someone becomes a Brahmin, he cannot claim his inheritance from the Father. Subjects also have to be created. Anyone who hears even a little knowledge will become part of the subjects. If some continue to indulge in vice, they will have to experience punishment. They will then become ordinary subjects. There is now to be death for everyone. Everyone is to be buried in the graveyard. This has to become a graveyard. At this time, human beings have no value. You too didn't have any value. You are now becoming valuable, but you will all die like insects when destruction takes place. At Diwali time, so many insects die. Everyone has to die because everyone has to return home. In the Golden Age, you won't say that someone has died because there is no untimely death there. You will have conquered death there. There you won't use the word death. In the Golden Age, you know that you don't die. You simply shed an old costume at the right time and take another new one. There is the example of the snake and how it sheds its old skin and takes a new one. Therefore, that example of the snake applies to the Golden Age, not here. The example of the buzzing moth applies now. Even sannyasis give these examples because the memorials of the present time continue on the path of devotion. The more you children imbibe at this time, the broader your intellects will become, and you will earn accordingly. Similarly, when a surgeon has a broad intellect, the more medicines, etc. he has in his intellect, and the more he earns. It is the same here. Some earn 250 rupees, and some earn thousands. If someone cures a king, he receives hundreds of thousands. It is the same here. Some haven't imbibed any points of knowledge, whereas others are very far-sighted and have broad intellects, and so they make others the same. First you become far-sighted, and then you have a broad intellect. This is something to be understood. There is no one as fortunate as Brahmins. They take everyone to the very top. At the top is God, and so they give his introduction. Therefore, you now know everything. Children would know everything about their father. The Father from beyond has now come to purify you and take you back. There is a story about a farmer's daughter. A king married a farmer's daughter, but she didn't like it in the palace, and so he sent her back home. It is the same here. Those whose intellects are unable to imbibe knowledge leave of their own accord. What can the Father do about that? It is only the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, who can explain to you. He tells you the essence of the Vedas and scriptures through Brahma. He says, the Vedas are not scriptures of any religion. They are just leaves, the children. There are only 4 main religions, and the Brahmin religion is one of the main ones. Deities are not said to have lives like a diamond, because it is this age that is the beneficial, charitable age. The leap month is said to be the month of charity. It is this confluence age that is beneficial. There isn't any benefit in any of the other ages, because your degrees continue to decrease. Day by day your degrees continue to reduce. Only this age is the beneficial age. Each of you has to beat your head about how to explain to others. In fact, the Master is showing you how to show the path to others, but then each one's business is his own. So you should be concerned as to how you can remove others from the quicksand. Some go to remove others from the quicksand, and they become trapped themselves. Therefore, you need many good, clever methods with which you can explain to others. First of all, explain about Alpha, and then they can then know about Beta, the sovereignty, and also the world cycle. First of all, at least know Alpha. When someone sits and writes down 1,000 times who Alpha is, he can then sit here. Some even write it in their blood and then they leave. Maya is no less. Acha. To the sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the Mother, the Father, Bap-Dada. The spiritual father says Namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say Namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for Dharna. 1. Become far-sighted and stay in remembrance of the Father, and give others the introduction of the Father who lives in the faraway land. 2. Create clever methods with which you can benefit everyone in the beneficial age. Do the service of removing everyone from the quicksand. Blessing. May you be a karma yogi and constantly experience the flying stage with your wings of zeal and enthusiasm. Zeal and enthusiasm are the wings of you Brahmins for the flying stage. Even if you come down to do some work, it is in the flying stage and as a karma yogi that you come down. Zeal and enthusiasm are very great powers for Brahmins. Your lives are not dry, but you have the sweetness of zeal and enthusiasm, and so you can never become disheartened, but remain constantly happy-hearted. Zeal and enthusiasm make storms into a gift and enable you to experience tests and problems as entertainment. Slogan: those who practice the bodiless stage cannot be attracted by any bodily attractions. Om Shanti. Invaluable versions of Mateshwari. What is the first point that we human souls have to keep in our intellects and to which we have to pay a lot of attention? 1. We have to have the firm faith of who it is that is teaching us. 2. All of us are human souls, and the Supreme Soul is our Father. We souls, His children, are separate from the Supreme Soul, our Father. 3. God is not infinite. God is not omnipresent. We have to keep this knowledge in our intellects, and this is why our knowledge is unique. Although people of the world think that they have God's knowledge, when you ask them what knowledge it is that they have, they say that God is omnipresent. Now, God Himself says, "My knowledge is only received from me, just as you learn to be a barrister from a barrister, and you learn to be a doctor from a doctor." There are many barristers, and if you don't study with one, you can study with another. If one doctor doesn't teach you, then another doctor will teach you. However, this godly knowledge cannot be taught by any human, whether he is a sage, a saint, or a great soul. It can only be taught by the Supreme Soul himself. So how can they think that they have God's knowledge? 4. God does not come here every age, but God comes once in every cycle at the confluence age, that is, at the confluence of the end of the Iron Age and the beginning of the Golden Age. He destroys all the irreligiousness and establishes the one original eternal religion of truth. How can people say that God comes in every age? They also say that the God of the Gita is Sri Krishna, and that he comes in the Copper Age. All of these things have to be proved. The God of the Gita is not Sri Krishna, it is Shiva, the Supreme Soul, and he does not come in the Copper Age. He comes at the time of the confluence. 5. How was there extreme darkness without the Guru? Who is that Guru? How is the human world an inverted tree? And how can we conquer our 5 vices? 6. We are those Pandav warriors. We have God himself with us and have victory. 7. God himself is the Almighty Authority, and so those who have taken the full company of God receive the 2 crowns of light and might. To keep all of these things in your intellects is called knowledge. Acha.